really gone up, like soya beans, flour, GNC, SBM, and the micronutrients. So they have all gone up. So that's why the feed have
the cost
of the feed have increased. So we added the 2 naira to it. So that's why we are selling 12 naira now.
Okay.
If not before now, it is 10 naira.
Wow. Then for the adults, do you sell adults too?
The
parent stock, or you just use them mainly for reproduction?
My parent stock, I know their history, so I keep them for myself.
Okay.
So I retain them. I don't say them, though they are much, but I prefer, because I really want to go in a very big ashering stuff. So at a point that we can be using up to 30 broodstock per week.
Wow.
So you can see you can never be enough.
So like how many broodstock do you have, the parent stock? Like how many do you have in your pond?
Currently now, those ones you are seeing there, they are just 310 pieces.
Wow.
310.
310. And for how long will you be able to keep them before probably you replace them?
You know, this one, like another species now, I've selected some now that are coming up, that I still want to add to them.
Okay.
The stage of juvenile. So what I do is that I add to them. So but where fish, if they are old enough, like from these ones now, before a parent stock, a brood stock can be ready, if from a year plus, at least must be up to a year
before it can start,
ready for fertilization.
Wow. Then let's say after the 1 year, so how do you know a weak adults that will not be able to fertilize again? Because I'm sure most animals have their lifespan.
Yeah.
So like how long does that take? Once
you use the broodstock, you see that it's not, no matter how you feed it, does not load again. Even if you want to load, the belly will start shrinking. The normal size they normally load no longer it. And sometimes when you even ash itself, the fryers, the fryers are they old. So after getting to a point of where they're supposed to be eating, when you give them food, they will not eat it. It means that the parent stock has a problem.
Okay, hold on. You mean like the fryers, which is the day old now, when you try to feed them and they refuse to?
They started eating from 4 days. We started feeding from the 4th day. When they started, because the one normally when they came out with a yolk inside their tummy.
Okay.
So they feed with that yolk for complete 3 days.
Okay.
So before they are ready for external food.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, so when you have a weak parent, I'm sure you sell them off.
No, we don't sell them. I eat what I do. So I consider I eat them or I dash it out.
Wow.
Because there's no amount you want to sell a broodstock that will be enough. Because the broodstock goes for 2,500 per kilo.
Okay.
Why normal you grow out table size? We normally say table size. The biggest size from 1 kilo and above is sold for at the rate of 750, 800. Due to scarcity of it. If not, they are even the time they were selling 700. So currently it's 800. You can see that the price is not. You cannot dash out broodstock to have a value of it unless somebody sell it. So I prefer dashing it out. Okay.
So like the feeding, let's talk about the feeding. Now what do you normally use for their feeding, the raw materials?
The raw materials are, they are categorized into 2. Okay. You have a plant and animal. So catfish feed mainly on protein. Okay. So we have animal protein and plant protein. So the animal protein majorly is fish. There's what we call fish meal. The fish meal is a major component of feed, which has almost over, the cost of fish meal sometimes is even higher than fish itself.
Wow.
So the fish meal is very, very expensive. So we are looking for every other means of boycotting it. And I've gone on training on how to produce a maggot, because it is also an animal protein.
Okay.
Maggot, but there's a little quantity that can be added, about 10%.
Okay.
So we have a fish meal as a animal protein. So Sometimes some people use a blood meal, but I don't use it due to the pollution. It pollutes water easily. And here I'm running on fuel alone. And you're running on gen, so I don't use light. So I avoid it. So we have fish meal. We have plant proteins like soya beans, granite cake, and so many others. So we have a cassava flour, we have a wheat flour, then some fiber. Fibers are like wheat offer or corn offer, but in a very small, very light form, So these are the major foundation. Then your macronutrients like lysine, vitamin C, Zanko, but we are trying to boycott that. So without those one now, so now I use a moringa, bitter leaf, moringa leaf, bitter leaf, and you don't go yaro. But there's how to process it.
Okay, do you do the processing yourself?
Yeah,
or?
yeah.
Okay, wow.
There are leaves that work effectively for catfish.
Okay.
Yeah, there are leaves. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say somebody that wants to learn this kind of business, like what is the duration? For how long will the person be able to learn it?
I have trained, in fact, I may say up to 15 people now.
Wow, since you started 3 years
all of
ago.
them, they're on their own.
Wow.
So it depends on somebody who is willing, the person willingness to learn. If you are willing, I see how many years it took me. But if you want to, it is all about just catfish alone. Catfish alone. Within a year, you are done. The year I'm saying that you have learned and practicalized with me, because I don't just train and leave you. You learn, you train, and then you give you some chance for us to see error, to see the level you have gone, so that if you are on your own, there are errors that you that have to go through all of that again. At least I've gotten the basis that you can function on your own.
Wow. Okay. Now, what is the let's say for somebody that actually wants to learn this trade, what is the cost of training?
Like I said, mainly those people I train, most of them are IT students. So ITs are always crying, you don't have money, you don't have money. So they will expect you to give them something where they are going. So I train to me, like you want to get a train. So I collect a 250.
250,000.
So to take you around all the costs.
Okay, and when you talk about IT students, you're referring to those that actually went to high institutions to study farming.
Yes. Okay. So after that, they want to practicalize.
Okay. So can you tell us what you are doing right now?
This picture you see I'm in now, we are trying to to abide by the privilege and opportunity we get through training. Because we come to realize from the training we are told that to be successful in our business as well, we have to put environment into consideration.
Okay.
So from it I learned that what we are considering as a waste, they are not actually waste. So you can convert them. So the pits I dug is one of the things they taught us that we can in discharging our water. Although we are not into, I am not into grow out right now.
Okay.
So the feed is very wide. In fishing, I'm into fishing.
Okay.
So the feed is very wide. So I learned a whole lot, anything that has to do with both fish and poultry. Okay. But right now I just started with hatchery aspect of a fish.
Okay.
So here is my number one chamber. So I gather my water first. When water is coming to enter this chamber.
Okay.
So when it enter, the water will filter down. Then we leave the ammonias around.
Okay.
So the ammonia will be sealed on the surface. Then what I will do is that when I come in the morning, I collect the ammonia. So to the experience I get, to keep the ammonia somewhere, add a small soil, loamy soil to it. For me to become a very fertile fertilizer, organic, without manure. So we are trying to see what we can do without fertilizer, without NPKC, So without any form of, like what I'm practicing here now, I don't use any one chemical in producing my fish.
Wow, everything
is natural.
So you get the feed mostly from the water, the wastewater. So you now renew it into the feed you now use for your fish.
No, like this manure I'm talking about. When I gather the manure, I sell it to people who are into crop, like vegetables and co.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could have liked to use it for plantain, but the water that is going to plantain alone is enough for it to give me what I want. So that is another a bonus to me in the farm that I just discovered, which I've been wasting for a very long time.
Wow. Okay. So from what you just explained now, this water you gather, you end up turning it into manure that you now sell to people that are into crop farming.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It's very, very, very highly proteinous, highly fertilized. Because what any plant that it touch, especially like ugu and the rest of vegetables. Yeah, the color is very different from every other manure. Wow,
that's good. So like how do you sell this wastewater that you now turn into natural manure or fertilizer? How do you sell them in kegs or in different sizes?
The manure is sold per bag. Once I gather this, once it's up to a bag, I know who to call. Because they even prefer the organic manure than every other one.
Fertilizer.
Yeah, every other fertilizer. So we are trying to see if you can do without the help of all the other things we are getting from every other country. We want to be independent.
Wow,
that's why we are doing this. Don't want to depend on anybody henceforth. So even our feed here now, the feed I'm using in my farm, I base mainly on locally made feed. We don't patronize imported feed anymore. So.
Okay, sir, I'm sure you've been doing this for a very long time, and from your experience you must have been facing some challenges. Can you share with us some of your challenges so far?
The major challenge have been our instabilities of cost price.
Okay.
Instabilities of cost price, you know. When I was learning, there are things that we were buying at the rate of let's say 2,000. Now some of them are more than 10,000 now.
Wow.
So but on my own, since I left, as I told you, the feed is very wide. So among all, which is the most lucrative, which is the milling, that have landed me into the business. Now I don't have facilities because the machine alone is in millions of naira. So that have been the major finance, have been the major problem. Like this place I am now is I'm on rent.
Okay.
So I'm on rent, so we pay rent, and this Lagos State rent is not just small money. You pay huge amounts of money.
It requires a lot of space.
So as well, the cost that involved with some other visibilities, the finance has been the major problem that we have, and you know, some government policies are where affect us most time. Yeah, like when they buy some products from entering, so our own here is supposed to be very cheap, but all of them, our home material also went up, so it's very, very scarce. I know they are doing the best, but right now it's still not hard. It's taking so much from us, from me personally.
Wow.
Like the cost of fare. No, sometimes I burn more than 2,000 fare here per day.
Wow.
So,
and by the time you consider all this, definitely you include it to your cost of production.
You can't just sometimes we take it low because we push everything to the cost. The customer will run away.
It's true.
So that's why we still try to manage to cope.
Okay.
So agric is a very lucrative sector, but the biggest challenge is finance and training.
So do you undergo training from time to time?
Time to time, have to be updated.
Wow.
You have to be. There are seminars we attend most time, and seminars. Some of the seminars they don't take less than sometimes, except it is a